seat. I'm a fucking helicopter, double C, no Chanel, cause she's bad, bad, bad. Riding Kawasaki, I can cup you on the ride, let you ride it, then you rap, and you're bad, bad, bad. No plan, no
Oh man, what a fucking week we just had. What a big week we got coming next week. So many good matchups this past week. We have playoff implications galore coming up. Literally couldn't have asked for a better slate of games coming up for this week's of matchups. So real quick, Tom won a very close matchup over me, got himself into that 6th seed. Nick was handled a win from Drew. Chris won a very hard-fought matchup versus Jackson. I think Sawyer was too busy chasing pussy down in Tijuana. Tim took an easy one from him. And John won a very tough matchup versus Alec. Let's get into them. Like I said, Tom and my matchup probably the most important playoff implication-wise because whoever won was going to get into that last playoff spot. We still have a week to go. Tom actually had the benefit of sitting Paul George last night, even though it wouldn't have mattered if he had played him. He actually, I think, would have won by a wider margin. But we each took one percentage category. I won by only 14 3-pointers. I won by only 18 points. Tom won by 28 rebounds, won by 1 assist. I only won by 2 steals. He handily took blocks. We were only separated by 1 turnover and 1 double-double. So could have gone either way. If I had more time, I would have loved to total up how many players sat for each team, because I know for our matchup personally, it was a shitload. At least one a night, if not more, on both sides was sitting. Kind of sucked. Can't see the full strength of either lineup. Plus, we both have a lot of injuries too, but, you know, Tom took the win, and he's in that playoff spot right now, in control. MVP for Tom's going to be Capella. Had an amazing week. It's why he won rebounds, why he won double-doubles, and what was going to win blocks either way, because my team doesn't get a lot of blocks. But Capella went off for 60 points, 61 rebounds, 6 blocks, and 3 double-doubles. Tom, in 6th place, would have been 4-4-1, beaten myself, Drew, Jackson, and Sawyer, and would have tied Nick on a 1-game win streak. 8-7-1 is the record. Myself, on the other hand, I only would have been 2-7, only would have beaten Drew, and Sawyer would have lost to everyone else on a 1-game losing streak, right outside the playoffs with an 8-8 record. Basically control my own destiny here. Actually, that's not true. I need some things to happen to get back in, but still. Next matchup, like I said, Nick versus Drew. Not going to get into this one. Brandon Ingram was the MVP. 9 threes made, 115 points, 20 rebounds, 23 assists, 6 steals. Drew's team, 311 points, 37 threes made, not even over 100 assists, not even over 160 rebounds. Still put up more blocks than I did with a full stat week, but 4 double-doubles, not much happening there. Nick taking a good one, needing that win. Currently in 2nd place with would have been only 3-5-1 though. Only would have beaten Drew, myself, and Sawyer. Would have tied Tom, 1-game win streak in that 2nd place. That first round by technically tied with Alec record-wise of 9-4-3, but good on Nick for getting the win. Meanwhile, Drew, 0-9, only 1 week left, buddy, and it's over. Next matchup, Jackson definitely had the chance to play playoff spoiler. Unfortunately, Chris put up one of the best weeks of the year of anyone. Would have been 9-0. Steph Curry, a big portion of that. We'll get to his stats a little bit later, but Chris had, I think, the highest combined field goal and free throw percentage of a team. He had highest free throw in the league this week, almost 30 points away from 900, basically. 93 threes made, most points in the league with 851. Only won by 10 rebounds, and Jackson still put up over 200 assists. But Chris and Jackson both had high steals. Jackson winning 56-49. Only separated by 1 block, with Jackson taking blocks. Only separated by 6 turnovers. Jackson did have that 1 triple-double to help him out, but unfortunately, like I said, Chris just put up a great week. Steph was a big reason for that. Chris would have been 9-0, 1-game win streak, record of 6-7-3, and I'm very sad to say, unfortunately, doesn't have a chance of making the playoffs. I think given that this is your first year in the league, you're kind of getting a feel of what it takes to play here and what kind of players you maybe need to draft next year. But well played, sir, on an excellent season. We'll get to those playoff spots in a little bit. Meanwhile, Jackson would have been 4-5. Would have beaten myself, Nick, Drew, and Sawyer. 1-game losing streak, 2-13-1. It's a real shame Jackson's team didn't turn it on until 5 weeks left in the regular season because, like I said, I definitely think his team is absolutely a playoff team right now. I would say if he was making consistent ad drops every day, he is definitely better than my team and Tom's team right now as it's currently constructed with all of our injuries. But as the Lions have currently set, Jackson, as he's playing right now, should be a playoff team. But unfortunately, that's not how it went. Next year might be your year, Jackson, so let's give it another shot. MVP for Chris, Chef, going to get to that later. On to Tim and Sawyer. Like I said, Sawyer had other things on his mind down there on his bachelor party. Maybe, I don't know if he wasn't setting a lineup or what, definitely wasn't making ad drops, but probably had a couple more fun things to do than we were back in St. Louis just playing fantasy basketball. So no harm, no foul there. Tim winning both percentages, winning by almost double three-pointers made, almost double points, over 60 more rebounds. Tim had the most assists, steals, double-doubles, and triple-doubles this week. We did have we had 4 players put up over 100 turnovers. Tim almost doubled Sawyer in that, but an easy win for Tim. I mean, Tim's whole team is fucking good, and if you had asked me right now, he is easily the number 1 seed for who I think will win the playoffs, who I think will win it all. And a huge reason for that is his 7th-round pick, Julius Randle. This week he made 15 threes, 143 points, 33 rebounds, 26 assists, 8 steals, 3 double-doubles. If you want to win in our league, usually you have to have a 6th through an 8th rounder hit, if not multiple hit, and Tim obviously did that with Randle. Having him, Jokic, and Westbrook all on the same team is going to be nearly impossible to beat, especially since the Wizards are still fighting for a play-in game seed. So Westbrook's going to keep trying, and he's not a guy who's going to sit and not try hard anymore. That's just not who he is. It's unfortunate that Jokic did lose Murray on his team. I don't necessarily know if that'll make his stats go up or not, but because he's going to have to spread the ball around more. He might end up having to take more shots. Might hurt his field goal percentage somewhere, but it also could not, and he could score more points and do everything more. So, anyway, I think Tim's team's going to be fine, and if I had to seed, then regardless of how the regular season goes, Tim would easily be my number 1 seed. Tim this week, 7-2, only would have lost to Chris and Alec on an 8-game win streak, a record of 2-6. That means prior to this win streak, Tim was 2-6 and hasn't lost in 2 months. Team is in fuego. Meanwhile, Sawyer only would have been 1-8, 2-game losing streak, still in first place, and I think you guys might be sad to see it, but he is going to remain in that first place seed. Okay, on to the final matchup, John versus Alec. This one was super tight. John only won by 4 points. They were only separated by, 16 plus 8, 20, 24 rebound difference, but only separated by 6 assists, 2 turnovers, 1 double-double, so it easily could have been in Alec's favor. Like I said, I wish I had the stats on how many people sat this week, if that was a big reason why or not, but really good matchup there. Had Alec won, I don't think he still wouldn't have gone up into... Or actually, he would be in that second seed right now if he had won, so might have a little future implication there. But Alec would have been 7-2, only would have lost to John and Chris. Bad luck week for Al. 1-game losing streak, record of 9-4-3, tied for second, but in third. Meanwhile, Olsen also would have been 7-2. That's 3 teams that would have been 7-2 this week. Only would have lost to Chris and Tim. 1-game win streak, record of 8-5-3 in fifth, but has a chance to jump up if some things fall his way. MVP for John this week is going to be Luka. 11 threes made, 120 points scored, 25 rebounds, 36 assists, 6 blocks for Luka, and 1 double-double. So good on Olsen for getting that W. Players of the week. Yahoo's number 1 ranked player is Russell Westbrook. Again, back-to-back weeks. 513 from the field, 101 points, 58 rebounds, 45 assists, 7 steals, 4 double-doubles, and 3 triple-doubles. But my pick, it's going to be some controversy because this league is full of a bunch of pussies who don't appreciate talent. But it's going to be Steph Curry because he shot 573 from the field, making 36 three-pointers. 36! 906 from the line, 175 points, 23 rebounds, 20 assists. He's a fucking man. He fucking shoots. I know he beat LeBron. I wish he hadn't beat LeBron in those finals, but Steph is the fucking man. Westbrook still gets the average player, 25.3 points, 14.5 rebounds, 11.3 assists, 1 double-double. We have literally, I can't describe how great, because I didn't know this until I looked at it, but the perfect setup of matchups going into this week. Literally, all of them are perfect. Jackson and Jrue play each other, so unfortunately Jackson can't play playoff spoiler or seed spoiler to anybody, but those guys are staying at the bottom, and every other matchup matters. You've got myself versus Alec. If Alec could get back up into that number 2 first-round bye seed, or if I could make it back into the playoffs. You've got Nick versus Tom. Nick wants to stay in that 2nd seed. Tom wants to stay in the playoffs. Tim versus Chris. This is really just a seeding matchup for Chris, but Chris could also end his year on a winning note. And then you've got Sawyer versus John. John trying to improve his seeding, but like I'm going to get to, Sawyer still locked into that first round. But you don't want to end the regular season on a loss, even though he's going to get a first-round bye. But let's get into that playoff stuff because I prepared a whole bunch of goodies for you. Let's do the 6th seed first. Like I said, unfortunately, Chris does not have a chance of making the playoffs. He lost both of his regular season matchups to Tom, so Tom automatically has the tiebreaker record there. He was 1-1 versus me, but if I win, I have a half-game lead over him, and I automatically would make it in. That would also require Tom to lose. But even if Tom and I both lose our matchups this week, Tom is in because he has the regular season tiebreaker. But Chris does still have a chance to affect Tim's seeding. As far as Tom goes, who holds pole position in that 6th place, he is automatically in if he wins versus Nick this week. He's in even if he loses and I lose, he gets in because he has the tiebreaker over me, I believe. But he is out if he loses his matchup and I win because I will have the better overall regular season record. So basically, Tom wins, he is in. Tom loses, I win, I'm in. And that's the only thing that's going to happen in that 6th place. So that should be very exciting. Getting up to those higher seeds. The number 1 seed, unfortunately, is locked up by Sawyer. Nick cannot get in because he lost both regular season matchups to Sawyer. And Alec can't get in, even though they tied their regular season matchups 1-1. But Sawyer won more categories, 12-9 versus Alec in those games. So even if Alec wins and Sawyer loses, Sawyer has the tiebreaker and will remain in that 1st place seed. Tim is 1.5 games out and therefore cannot get it. So Sawdog wrapping up that number 1 seed. I could probably go back and count and see how many years you finished in that number 1 seed or the top 2. I guess it really wouldn't matter. But it's got to be most of them in our league. As far as the 2nd seed goes, Nick holds the spot for now, and he only played 1 matchup versus Alec in the regular season. Nick won that 6-5, so that's important. So if they both win their matchups, Nick stays in that spot. If Nick loses and Alec wins, Alec claims 2nd. Duh. If Nick and Alec lose, Tim would take that 2nd seed. I think there's only a half-game difference. I'll double-check that right now, but there should only be a half-game. There is only a half-game difference between Nick, Alec, and Tim. So like I said, if Nick and Alec lose and Tim wins, Tim gets that first-round bye, which would just be the fucking rags to riches stories there. Moving on, the 3rd place seed, Alec is still currently there, and this could go any number of ways. We're kind of getting into the nitty-gritty here, but I looked at what John's chances were of moving up. He does have the ability to move into the 3rd seed. Unfortunately, he does not have he has a losing record in the regular season versus Nick, 7 categories to 14 in Nick's favor. He does have enough winning categories versus Alec, 13-8 in his favor, but he doesn't have enough over Tim, only 8-14 for Tim. So even if Nick, Alec, and Tim all lose and John wins, the highest seed he can get is third because Nick holds that tiebreaker. So if Nick and Alec win their matchups, but Tim loses, Olsen would take fourth, and I believe Tim would slide back to fifth. But regardless, those guys are all still in the playoffs. All 5 of them clinched. It'll be good. So basically what we're looking at, Tom and I got to figure out who is going to get that 6th spot. No, Sawyer is locked in at 1. Nick, Alec, and Tim are fighting for that 2nd seed, and John could jockey his position up from 5th all the way to 3rd if some things break out. But like I said, this is going to be a fucking fantastic week. Anything could happen. Looking forward to this. The best players, not the best players, the best teams are getting in. It's going to make the playoffs fucking incredible. Once we have those set, I will give my predictions for everything. But I really, really, really hope Tom loses and I win. Bye.